time to get into the tea.
The tea.
Now, just like you entered our studio today, after quarantine hit, you entered the digital drag scene on Instagram Live in a way that truly gagged the internet. You came in on top of a car during Raylatrey's quarantine Qween, right? Tell me about that idea, the germination, and the execution.
Well, I want to first point out that I did come in on top of my Nissan Versa Note, okay? So it doesn't matter what kind of car you got out there at home, baby. As long as you are feeling fabulous, it doesn't matter the label you're rocking. But how I came up with this idea, you know, when quarantine hit, I will be honest, I was a little upset, but the Capricorn kicked in, and it just said, you've got to fight. You've got to figure out a way to make this still work for you. And so when I started thinking about like, okay, well, what does quarantine really mean? It means that we have to be safe and at home. But it doesn't mean we have to be on a backdrop or a green screen lip syncing a song. That's boring. So let me figure out a way that I can really make a statement. And luckily, my dear friends helped me orchestrate the whole performance for Raylatrey's show. And I think it made quite a lasting impression.
Yes, it did. Everybody, like, when that happened, they were like, God, Laganja came in on a car. I don't know. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I've been dealing with that attitude a lot. You know, throughout my life, there have been queens that see me do my showstoppers, and they want to hate on it, but there's also been the crowd of people who want to love it. And so that's the crowd I've gravitated towards, because at the end of the day, I'm not being extra and show stunting to make others feel less than. I'm doing it because that's just who I am. I want to express myself in fabulous, creative, over-the-top ways. That's why I became a drag queen.
Yeah, something we like to refer to as a gag for gag's sake.
Yeah, a gag for the gays.
Right, exactly. Right, Erica?
Yes, gag for gag's sake is a gag worth gagging on.
Yes, exactly. You're like, well, why shouldn't I serve, right?
Say gag one more time.
Gag!
Now, you also did a dip on the Walk of Fame. Let's take a look at that picture.
Girl.
Oh, honey, all the way to the ground.
Are those sideburns or is that wig glued down? I can't tell. I can't tell. Yeah, that was crazy. You know, my best friend Robert Heyman, who's one of my #1 collaborators, he was the one who suggested that we take it out into the streets after we did the car stunt. Because at that point it was like, well, what do we do to top that little thing that I just did? So we did. We took it to Hollywood Boulevard. I performed my first single, Legs, with Rai Rai. I ate a pretzel with mustard. I did the whole thing, George. I did the whole thing.
I love it. Now, how did you find the whole digital drag phenomenon? Because like you said, you have to find new ways to get creative. You're someone who is used to the dance, the physical gag. So you found those two ways. How have you enjoyed that process?
Well, I have enjoyed it thoroughly. I must be honest, as much as I love working in gay clubs, quarantine has really given me the time to focus on my art. And I'm not saying I wasn't bringing art to the gay clubs, but I was working a job. I was earning my rent. I was doing what I knew to do, which is to put on a top 40 song, be very sexy, give them a high energy performance. And that's all amazing, truly. I'm so thankful that I had that experience, traveled the world, and did that. But during quarantine, I realized there's so much more for me to give. And by limiting myself to this way of thinking, which is, I have to do this job to earn my rent, I realized that I was missing the whole fun of this. And by being home in quarantine, being forced to really look within, it allowed the inner artist to come out. Now, I don't know if you know, but I got my degree in dance and choreography from the California Institute of the Arts, so I was very highly trained in digital media, how to use Final Cut. So all of these skills that I had learned many years ago, they started to bubble up because we had to. We had to figure out ways to work the camera, to light your own set. I mean, I've bought fans, I've bought smoke machines, I've bought sequin backdrops. I mean, I have the full gamut in my house now. For instance, I wrote my first ever play that I've ever done in my whole life. I also choreographed it and starred in it, which really took me out of that drag element because I had to become a lighting designer. I had to become, a choreographer, and that allowed me to really show the different talents that I have as an artist, where sometimes I feel like when I'm performing in the clubs, I get very narrowed. I'm seen in one light. She's known as the tongue popper. She's known as the dipper. And the truth is, that's just a very small fraction of who I am as a person.